Kwab, the NBA Finals are here.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be a great series.
It's gonna be amazing.
I think it's going to be a fantastic NBA Finals.
Yep.
Unshout out, I don't know if that's a thing, unshout out to the NBA media who thinks that this is going to be a one-sided series. I do not think this is going to be a one-sided series. I think this is going to be a very close series.
Hot
Not
take.
going to give anything away,
Okay.
but I will say that. Also, unshout out to the people who think that this is going to be a bad series just because it's between two teams from Indiana and Oklahoma. That's insane.
I think I saw somebody made the point that if you took all these players from each team and you put them in different jerseys, like if you put them in the Lakers jerseys and the Knicks jerseys, people would be excited.
To be hyped as hell.
Yeah, they just
This
don't
is a
care.
fantastic finals.
It's a fantastic finals, and I'm
Yeah,
happy for.
I
I'm
say that
happy
as a
for
Knicks fan
Indiana
who's
fans.
just recovering.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
recovering.
true.
Shout out
Yeah.
to all the Pacer fans who are waiting on a Game 6 reaction video that never showed up. You'll never know how I felt after that game.
You will never find out. No, we couldn't do a recap. We couldn't do a recap after that game, but. Congratulations to the Pacer fans.
Yes.
And congratulations to the Thunder fans. I know they're very excited about this, so it's going to be a great series.
All right, Kwab, so let's get into our series preview. You know how we start every single one with the underdog and the sentence, the fill in the blank. The Pacers win this series if blank.
Ooh, the Pacers win this series if Tyrese Haliburton doesn't allow himself to be taken out of games.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be a big factor throughout this series. Looking back on all looking back on the games the Pacers have played throughout the playoffs, the games they have lost have been because Tyrese has been play kind of just kind of out there, allowing teams to basically pressure him, and he was comfortable with just being taken out of the game and allowing Nembhard or somebody else to kind of initiate the offense. And sometimes it worked out, but in all your losses, you can point out hey, Tyrese didn't play well. He's the engine of the team. So they're going to need him to be fantastic. Triple-double against the Knicks, Tyrese, every game. Because he's going to be running into multiple wing defenders who are probably going to try to pressure him the whole game. We know how good the Thunder defense is. And they're just going to make sure he has a horrible time throughout the course of the series. So he can't allow it to happen. He has to go out guns blazing, I feel like, every game. And I think that's going to be a big reason for the Pacers if the Pacers are to win this series. In your opinion, the Pacers win this series if
the Pacers defense overwhelms Oklahoma City offense, particularly SGA, which I think is possible, man. I mean, we saw that in Game 6, the way that Nembhard pretty much locked up Jalen Brunson. And you can give credit to Nembhard all you want. I think he deserves a lot of credit, but I also think that's 6 games of full court pressure, relentless, we're up your ass all game. We are not giving you a break. Defense / dictate the pace of the game, essentially. Yeah. If they're getting stops, if the Pacers' defense is getting stops, that means they're getting rebounds and they're running. I think a lot of people are severely underestimating this Pacers team. I do think Oklahoma City is the better team in this, but I do think that there is a very direct path for the Pacers to win this series, and that is dictating terms of pace by pressuring the basketball full court. And if they can get Oklahoma City to miss threes, take long shots, take bad shots, similar to what, Denver did with their zone, but in their own type of way, and get out and just run the basketball, I think there's a very good shot the Pacers can win this series, but they have to do that. They can't sit, and they're not going to, right? Like, the Knicks do this. The Knicks sit back, and they kind of let the game come to them. The Pacers are going to try to dictate terms. They're going to try to take SGA out the game, and if they can't take him out the game, they're going to make things as difficult as possible for him, and if they overwhelm him or if they overwhelm that offense, which we've said many times before, yeah, it's a good offense. They have players. But this Oklahoma City offense is not like the Denver Nugget offense. It's not like, one of elite offenses in the league. It's a good offense. But it's not elite in my opinion, at least. I think they can be had in certain games. I think that they can, get flustered a little bit. They take bad shots sometimes. Sometimes they don't. They're not bad. But I do think the Pacers are going to be able to control sometimes the pace of the game. And I think if that defense, if the Pacers wins this series, it's because it's defensively, they stepped up, they overwhelmed OKC, particularly SGA. And I think they can do it. I just don't know if they will.
Do you think that the Pacers throw in the zone also?
Yes,
throughout the course
I think
of the
they
series,
I
right?
think Carlisle takes everything. I think he takes things from the Nuggets. I don't think they abandon who they are. Also, I do think you go full court. I could see them doing a high 1-3-1 type of zone. I wouldn't put it past Carlisle to do anything. But to me, like, I don't see a series where it's like two high scoring teams. I see a very defensive type series, and if it starts to like be a track meet and the Pacers are like dictating tempo, like if the game's like 110 to whatever, I think the Pacers that heavily favors the Pacers. The OKC Thunder want this game in like in the low hundreds, 90s type of thing, where the defenses kind of have to sort it out. And to me, I think people are just severely underestimating how the Pacers defense could actually control this, not only a game, but maybe parts of this series.
We've talked about how underrated the Pacers defense is.
Yeah.
And the way they can get stops and push the tempo and run and get like contributions from different players. With the way they pressure the ball too, with like Neesmith and Nembhard, that's gonna factor into it too. I just think with you running with a team like with the Thunder, who are comfortable having multiple ball handlers out there to like initiate offense. If it's not SGA, it's gonna be Jalen Williams, Caruso, and all that.
Yeah.
So that's gonna factor into it too. But yeah, the Pacers defense is gonna have to show up, and also like the Pacers are going to have to start games out the right way. That's always been my one critique of the team, because there's too many games they don't start out the right way, and the Thunder are not the team you want to kind of start off slow against whatsoever.
Right. No, I get that, but Thunder also like they're a team that like I wouldn't say they're down at halftime, but like they're a second half team as well.
Yes,
they're a team that has like run away with games in the third quarter and the fourth quarter as well. So
third quarters are going to be big this series. It's going to be like it's going to be big. Yeah,
for sure. All right, Pacers X Factor. Who you got?
I have for the Pacers X Factor. I think it's going to be Nembhard, and again, I'm not. I know you've been you've focused mostly on the defense in your assessment. Mine's on offense. I feel like Nembhard's going to have a good shooting series. Like against the Knicks, he had moments where he was okay, but like he wasn't hitting his long range shots. Like Nembhard in the mid range is pretty good. Like he has a great like 2-3 dribble pull up in the midi goes in, but the Thunder have different defensive schemes where they're comfortable allowing so-so shooters to take open shots.
Yeah.
We saw that against the Timberwolves when they just essentially leaving Jaden McDaniels open. Like they were packing it in and showing help off of him. They did that against the Nuggets too, like with when Westbrook was on the floor, and even sometimes again with like Gordon. They're comfortable like essentially like daring you, like picking a player and being like, well, he can shoot, but he's not that elite of a shooter, and we would rather have the help coming off him and maybe a big or whoever it is just to kind of muck up the paint, and it usually works out in your favor. Usually when the Pacers have also blown out teams, like Nembhard has been a knockdown shooter from three, which he's more than capable of. So especially with the way they play with your 5-out offense, he's going to have to be able to hit big shots when he's going, because I feel like there's going to be a bunch of moments where he's going to be left wide open.
Yeah.
Who's your X factor for the Pacers?
My X factor is Pascal Siakam. I mean, it's for the same reasons why I had Julius Randle last series. You know, I do think that if there is a weak spot in the OKC defense, which I don't think there is, there's two. First of all, you got to hit open threes because they will give you an open three, which is also why I think the Pacers are dangerous, by the way.
Yeah.
But Pascal Siakam, man, I mean, playing outside, playing inside. You know, Julius Randle, I thought he would have an advantage being able to, I don't say beat him up inside, but be physical inside and get whatever he wanted in the paint, and also extend the floor if he was making his shot. And he just had a horrible series. Well, now it's Pascal Siakam's turn. They're not the same. You know, Pascal's more finesse than Julius. You know, he's more crafty around the hoop. Julius is more, you know, power. But I do think that OKC is going to do whatever they can to limit Haliburton in this series. I think they're going to deny him the basketball. I think they're going to have schemes to specifically stop him, and they're going to need Pascal Siakam to have like a 25-point per game type series, similar to what he did against the Knicks. And honestly, I think I've heard of this take too, so it's not an original take, but I do think if the Pacers win this series, I think Pascal Siakam gets the MVP because I do think the way that the OKC Thunder are going to play is going to make him beat them, essentially. Not just him, but Nesmith, but he'll be the leader of that if that makes any sense. Yeah. So to me, Pascal is my X factor for the Pacers. Let's go to the Thunder. The Thunder win this series if blank.
Thunder win this series if they are able to impose your will defensively, and also along with hidden perimeter shots. I think they're not. The Thunder have never been like throughout the course of the season. You're not a high volume 3-point. Like they don't take a lot of 3-point shots, but when you're hitting your shots, on top of how much they can get stops and have like get in the paint and score for the mid ranges, it's kind of like you see that kind of like that their third quarter avalanches from like it would be like an Isaiah Joe coming off the bench hitting a bunch of threes, and then Lou Dort hits a bunch of threes. Like and just before you know it, hey, it's a 40-point game, and me and you are like, do we do a recap or do we just call it? So I think that's gonna be a factor. That's gonna be one of the main reasons why the Thunder can pull out this series. What about you?
I think the Thunder win this series if they stick to the process on offense, if they're patient on offense, they don't panic. I guess don't panic is what I want to say. The Pacers are going to put pressure on them defensively. They're going to press them full court. And we saw a lot of time in the Nuggets series, specifically SGA. He's driving into his zone, with two people, and he's taking a mid-range jumper, which I understand. You're SGA. You're the MVP of the league. You can do that sometimes. But I do think it's important that they trust the process, they move the basketball, they're patient, and they get good shots every time down. I think that's a big reason why the Pacers beat the Knicks. I mean, if you look at the way the Pacers play basketball, they don't take bad shots. I've said this about them all year. One of my favorite thing about the Pacers is that they move the basketball and they get good shots most of the time, more often than not. And the Thunder, what I've seen in the playoffs is they've kind of fallen into these traps where, specifically SGA, where he kind of tries to take the team on by himself. I think if SGA is able to handle the pressure, if they're able to move the basketball around, if Indigo zone, for instance, move the ball. You have Isaiah Hartenstein in the middle, who's a fantastic passer. You have good passers on the team. You have knockdown shooters on this team coming off the bench as well and in your starting lineup. Just move the ball, be patient, trust your offense, trust your teammates. And if OKC can just stay within themselves, I think they win the series. I think the Pacers win this series if they get OKC kind of off balance and they start playing unlike themselves, which I think is possible. I don't know if it's possible for 4 games, but I do think it's possible. So for me, if I'm a Thunder fan, that's my biggest worry. The defense is going to show up. I have no doubt in my mind the defense is going to show up. I don't know if they're going to shut down Tyrese Haliburton, but I know they're going to make it as difficult as possible for him. But I know they're going to show up.
Yeah.
I know they're going to force turnovers. Maybe they won't force turnovers. That's another thing. How many turnovers is the OKC Thunder defense going to force?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's a big thing as well. So all these things are just going to my head now. I'm thinking about it. But for me, patience on offense, move the basketball, trust the process. SGA, take good shots. OKC Thunder, X Factor. Who do you got?
X Factor is Chet. To me, it's going to be Chet. Even to your point about Pascal, basically might have to be very aggressive throughout the course of the series. He might end up being Chet's matchup early on if the Thunder decide to go double big. If they don't, Chet at the center position allows them to have, again, a spread out offense because of his ability to shoot. So that kind of helps negate if a team goes zone or tries to pack it in, and it opens up space for SGA to operate, Jalen Williams to operate. When you have a big that's a shooter, so there can't be a lot of help. And Chet has been playing well. Like the last series, we saw him step up. Like it was, I think some of the best games he played. He even made the point that was like their arrival of like their big three to like show the world like, hey, we have these 3 young players that can show up. And I think Chet is going to be important for Chet to play not just the offensive side, the defensive side too. Just because you can have the lineup with Isaiah in there. But if you with Chet on offense, who like he can easily shoot over Pascal. Like there's different stuff I see the Thunder doing. Again, like you just saying, there's a lot of stuff that's like popping in my head right now that makes me excited about this series. But I think it's Chet for me. Who's your X factor for the Thunder?
Lou Dort.
Okay.
Both sides of the basketball, because he's going to have the assignment of guarding Tyrese Haliburton in my mind. I think at least he's going to have that assignment to start off the game. I also think, if he's knocking down his three, they're a tough offense to stop as well. He's kind of an X factor there. So to me, if Dort can control the pace on defense, if he can annoy Tyrese Haliburton, if he can get that if he can start, causing pressure on Tyrese, turning the ball over. Tyrese doesn't really turn the ball over much, but if they can get turnovers off of Tyrese and they can, pressure the basketball and get Indiana's offense out of whack, or just take Tyrese out of the game completely, we've seen what that can do sometimes. To the Pacers. They've lost games this playoffs to the Cavs, to the Knicks, because Tyrese just didn't show up for a game because he's being denied the whole time.
Yeah.
So to me, Lou Dort's incredibly important for that. And just moving on from that, just close before I get to predictions. I really do think this is gonna be a really close series. I am shocked how many people are picking not the fact that they're picking OKC, but how I've seen 5.
Yeah, five has been the consistent one I keep seeing.
And for me, and it's no disrespect to OK, I just think people are underestimating how good the Pacers are. And I'm not just saying that as a Knicks fan who just watched the Pacers kind of run all over them. We've been saying this about the Pacers since December, really.
Yeah.
And I do think OKC is better. I think OKC's been the best team all year. They deserve to be favored, but I think people are underestimating how close this is going to be. I think this is going to be a very, very close series. The Thunder, they thrive, in transition off turnovers. They get 25 points per game off turnovers. That's insane. I don't know if you get that. Even if Tyrese is off, he doesn't really turn the ball over too much. You know what I mean? And he's the one who's handling the ball most of the time. Can OKC turn, Indiana over the way they do other teams? Can Indiana find a way to score on OKC in a way that other teams haven't? Is Indiana's defense going to be able to pressure SGA and the Thunder and make them uncomfortable? I don't know. But these are questions that legit can go either way in my mind. I don't think this is as big as a mismatch as people think it is. With that said, series prediction, Kwab, I'll go first. I'm going to take OKC in 7. Okay. I think it goes 7. I think home court advantage is going to be huge in this. I do think the Thunder are a team that do play better at home with their home crowd behind them. I could see them going to Indy and getting smacked in a game. But I also see them running Indy out of the building in a game 5 or something like that. But I do think this is a close series. I can't see it not being a close series. I think I don't think they're evenly matched. I do think the Thunder are the better team, but we also see the Thunder have underperformed in some games in these playoffs. And Minnesota was their first series. So I was like, okay, this is what I expected to see from you. And maybe they turned a corner a little bit. They had a scare there against Denver. So for me, I like the Thunder, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. So I got OKC in 7. What do you think?
I was debating between OKC and 6 or 7, but it's just like you said before. I think home court is going to be such a big advantage in this series. Also, I mean, we both gave our X factors, but each team is so deep with random players, not random, but because they're not random, they're NBA players, but with impact players off the bench that can come in and kind of sway a game. It could be Thomas Bryant coming off the bench and turn into Steph Curry. It's just the randomness, but still the effectiveness of each team's bench. I'm gonna go OKC in 6.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 6. But at the same time, and we have to, for all the Pacers fans that follow us and watch this channel, neither of us are going to be surprised if the Pacers win the series, whatsoever. Just because we've seen how good the Pacers have been all year. Especially these two teams have been the best teams in the league since the start of the calendar year. They have the 2 best records since the start of the calendar year. And that's the reason why they meet in the finals. And the Pacers have felt like a team of destiny. Honestly, with some of the way they have won games. I'm sorry, I know as a Knicks fan, it's fucking.
Game 1 was everything. Let's not talk about it.
You're not going to talk about it, but just the way they've been able to win games that nobody else should win, and your constant ability just to come back and stay in games has been kind of crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers win this series and win the chip. But to me, like you said, the Thunder have been the best team all year, and with this elite defense and the MVP, so I expect them to win this NBA championship. So I'm gonna go OKC in 6.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think OKC is the best team. They've been the best team all year, man. Let's just be honest. I mean, there were times we did our power rankings. We had the Cavs at 1. We might have had the Celtics at 1. But really, pound for pound, throughout the year, they've been the most consistent team. You know, they rely on their defense, which is something that defense wins championships. That's something everyone's always said. And this is a historically good defense. I mean, their perimeter defense is incredible. I mean, I don't have enough flowers for the OKC Thunder in their defense. The only thing that worries me about them a little bit is their offensive process every once in a while. So we'll see. I mean, they did blow a game against Denver, game 1 of that series. And then,
they got out-coached.
Yeah.
They got out-coached, yeah.
Yeah, and I will take Carlisle over Mark, if I'm being honest. But I don't think in the sense where it's like going to play that big of a factor in the series. I do think OKC. I don't think they're evenly matched. Like, I don't think this is like there's a two. I think OKC is slightly better. I do. Okay. And that's why I'm taking them. I think they're the better team. I think they deserve to be the NBA champions. They've been the best team all year. Not that the Pacers don't deserve it, but the OKC Thunder. I mean, come on. What a year. It's a fantastic year. And maybe, who knows, maybe a start of a dynasty. I don't know. Just saying. It's too early.
Way too early. We gotta play. That's why we play the games. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know what's going to happen.
All right, well, listen, if you want to follow Dime, you can't be right to Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. He's Kwab at Kwab AKAS. We're going to be giving you game recaps after each finals game. Also, listen, off-season content's coming. Kwab and I are thinking about doing certain things like going live, maybe trade rumors, definitely when trades happen, free agent signings. We're going to have a mock draft. That's going to be fun. I mean, that's one of my favorite episodes that we do.
Always,
just audio. Now we're finally going to do video for the first time.
Yeah.
If you want to know what the audio version sounds like, go to the podcast feed and go back like 3 years. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
And we're going to try to translate that into video form. So stay tuned for that. Can't wait. It's going to be a great NBA Finals. For Kwab, I'm Josh. We'll see you Thursday. Peace.